Hello, and welcome to Fit for All Phases podcast. I'm your host, Heather Anderson. I'm a certified personal trainer and a certified nutrition coach. The other day, I did an episode on my origin story, and I mentioned that I am a former English teacher. Needless to say, I know the questions that you need to ask in order to write a narrative, and there are quite a few. There's who, what, when, where, why, and how. All right. So today I'm going to cover two. I'm going to cover who and why. Those are questions that you need to answer when you're writing your own narrative for your fitness, all right? Your fitness narrative. And these two questions, once you find the answers to them, will kind of drive the answers to the following questions. So let's talk about who. Okay, so basically, when you are trying to write your fitness narrative, become someone different, um, someone who is fit, you need to basically kind of just undertake an entire new identity. All right, so that's great. But what is your current identity? Or what was the identity in the past? Because those two answers also drive the narrative. So let's take myself for example. All right. So who? All right. As of 11 years ago, I was an endurance athlete. That was my identity. That was who I am. That's how I would answer that question of who in the narrative. Like I said earlier in the earlier podcast, fast forward, and in the present day, my identity is one of a woman who lives, a middle-aged woman who lives, if you want to get really specific. So in the past, when I answered, who am I? What was my identity? I would say, oh, the fastest, the one who got the most medals, the thinnest, just the one who could really perform. So I wanted to perform well in endurance competitions. So that was who I was. But beginning in about 2015, when I quit the circuit, my new identity that I really wanted was, a woman who lifts. So what is included in a woman who lifts? Stronger, you end up being leaner. Um, in some ways makes you more youthful, whereas being an endurance athlete, sometimes that wear and tear can really, take a hold of your youth and age you a little bit faster. Um, Also, as a woman who lifts, I want to ensure my independence later. I didn't mention this in the episode, but both my parents have quite a few health issues, and I want to make sure that I don't have any health issues in the future like they do. So that's kind of what you need to do. You need to kind of like uh, assess who you were and then assess who you want to be. So now that question, the question who am I? What's my new identity? Can be answered a little bit more easily or readily if you also consider the next question. And that question is why? All right. You have to ask yourself, what is your deep seated why for your new identity? What drives that new identity? What reasons do you have for forging a new identity? What was it about your old identity that didn't serve you anymore? For instance, my endless hours of training for competitions just wasn't worth it to me anymore. I needed that time back. Plus, I could see how I was losing muscle, I was losing strength, and I really wanted to gain that back. But also, did I want to do that? Was it because of my parents and my health? Was it about aging better with fewer problems? And we know if you have a really good resistance training program, there's very few chances for you to actually get hurt. So why do you even need to forge a new identity? This is a very important question. Now, for you, maybe it's your aging parents as well. Maybe it's a sibling. Um, Maybe it's just looking into the future and kind of recognizing what future you really wanted to have. Um, so those two questions are imperative to answer when you are embarking on a fitness journey, as they say. You have to write a new narrative for yourself. The same old story is probably not going to work anymore. It hasn't served you probably so far, and it likely won't continue to serve you. Might actually be to your detriment. So sometimes we just have to look at who we are or who we were and who we really want to be. And again, that question is often answered if you look really deeply into yourself, ask why you have these goals, why you even want a new identity, why you want to write a new narrative for yourself. With a lot of reflection, you'll probably find, it's not about vanity, it's not about your weight. It's not about looking good in jeans. For very few people, when I ask them what's their why for hiring me, or what's their why for working out, or what's their why for running, it's usually not an aesthetic goal. I mean, you would think it would be, but oftentimes it's just a performance goal. It's, they want to, or it's they're trying to look into the future and see what they can do now to have a better one. So these are just two questions that I really want you to kind of focus on. Um, who who are you? Who do you want to be? Why? Why do you want to be that new version of yourself? Why do you want to write a new narrative at all for your fitness? So, just something to think about. And next episode, we will cover some more of those questions. But I feel those two questions are probably the most important ones to really think of right now. So, if you found this episode valuable, please like or subscribe or share it with your friends. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to get this information out to people because, my new identity is someone who educates, and I want to be an educator again. So that's part of the reason why I have this podcast. So I hope it serves you well, and I hope you have a great evening. Thanks for joining me again. Thanks.